Hello dear friends, we are going to discuss certain IR theories which are being used in this editorial. The essence of this editorial is that there are certain interdependencies and which have been weaponized. And then these writer talks about certain suggestions which can be used as way forward. So the topic of this editorial is that weaponization of interdependence. When we talk about weaponization, this relates to the realist thought. And when we talk about interdependence, that is a liberal thought. Now, weaponization means you are using something against anyone for your own benefit, or when you are getting benefit, obviously it is going to harm others because you are using the weapon. So here interdependencies are being used for your own benefit by harming others because they are dependent on you. So this first paragraph talks about that only. Anyway, we are going to link the IR theories. The first is classical realist and then liberals. You just focus on one thing which is very essential for you people. When you have to differentiate between classical realist and neo-realist and liberals and neoliberals, this one topic, one point is very important, that these classical realists and liberals, they focus on human nature, and neoliberals and neorealists, they are more of positivist kind of scholars. They focus on scientific temperament. So now when focusing on human nature, classical realist says that human nature is the egoistic, they are self-interested, they are power-seeking individuals, and then it is going to get reflected at the state level as well. So in international system, there is always chances of conflict, always. But similarly, liberal says that human nature, that is rational, peace loving, and because of that they always seek the avenues of cooperation by discussion, debate, sitting together and resolving the conflicts. So they are focusing on human nature. So when we talk about interdependence, that is liberals. Let's develop certain kind of interdependence and then we can be happily living together. But when you are weaponizing these interdependence, this reflect this egoistic, power-seeking behavior, that I want to ensure my own interest at the cost of everyone. When we talk about neo-realist, they say that it is not the kind of behavior which is being reflected at the state level which is the cause of conflict. No, it is the structure of international system that is anarchical. Anarchical means there is no regulating authority to regulate the behavior of states. So this is anarchy prevailing here, and because of this anarchy, everyone just want to secure their own interests by way of self-help, and this create conflict in international system. Here neoliberals accept that. They said we are agree with you, but when you are saying that there is always avenues of conflict, that is we are not agreeing with, because we have to put certain efforts. Ultimately we can create avenues for cooperation. That's what they are saying, because human being, they can, with their concrete collective efforts and with certain institutions and regimes, they can create the avenues for cooperation because they are rational. And in this scenario, in this anarchical structure, we can have cooperation. Here you are talking about conflict, but we are talking about cooperation. So when you see any kind of conflict in IR, you bring realist approach, and when you have to suggest cooperation, areas of cooperation and engagement and conflict resolution, then you bring liberals. So here, for weaponization of interdependence, you bring in your introductory part that it is the realist approach which shows that to satisfy the national interest, state can indulge in any kind of behavior. So that is the justification for that. Now coming to this explanation of these different liberal theories of IR. The first is interdependence. So when we are discussing the interdependence, you have to bring this dimension that there are certain mutual interdependence in certain areas like trade. Neoliberals also talk about this, that we are creating these avenues of interdependence, and then we are consolidating the relationships, and it decreases the cause of conflict. Then comes the institutional liberalism. They talk about that we have to create certain regimes, certain international organizations, and these organizations, they are going to bring rules, and they'll create rule based order. How? They, on the basis of rules, we can bring awareness of transparency, accountability. We can see that how other actors are working, how they are bringing rules aligned with these international organizations and regimes, international law. And then we see the behavior of all the actors are predictable, those are not unpredictable. So this creates avenues of cooperation, institutions. And then functionalism, it is prominently mentioned in this editorial. What functionalism says, that we have certain areas, functional areas, and primarily these areas are non-political, scientific areas, technological areas. In this editorial, the writer talks about UPI, digital governance, then AI, space. So in these areas, we can enhance our cooperation, which is the essence of functionalism. Okay, building piece by pieces. So this is how, when we are writing the way forward, we supposed to write these theories to, to reinforce our arguments. This is what we're supposed to do. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Keep focusing on these theories while you're reading the editorial. Your conceptual clarity is going to get consolidated in next few months. Thank you, dear friends.